been a lot of painting. I think I've got painter's shoulder. I mean, it's like muscle aches and that.
Whoa. Is that a thing? Oh, yes, because...
Paint defense, and I feel like a Karate Kid, you know?
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Story Time at the Joy of Trek. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And the Chief has picked another wonderful story for us to read for you from Archive of Our Own. I think we're past the point where we look at any other sources. It's just
pretty
the
much.
Cultural treasure.
I'm sure that if we get any recommendations for a story, which, by the way, you could send to us. Normally, we have a recommendation page for regular episodes, but I guess they could also use that for story recommendations.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look into that.
joyoftrek.com/links.
Yeah.
There's a story.
I'll put something there. Chief,
right.
Please remind me before this episode airs, preferably.
All right. So yes, we have Archive.
What are we reading today?
Hang on. I need to click some consenting to the procedures of my personal data in the United States. And
don't do that.
I kind of have to, otherwise it won't let me onto the site.
I know.
So we have a story called Venom in the Blood, written by Lady Sci-Fi.
Ew, yeah, it is a category M/M, Deep Space Nine, Julian, Bashir, Elam, Garak.
Oh,
yes! All right.
I am in.
In which the Defiant responds to the distress signal from Empok Nor. Oh, yeah. To find a simple salvage mission gone wrong, and Julian finding Garak in a state he never imagined. Ooh, this is a follow-up to Empok Nor, which we did a few weeks ago, or will have done in the future, or however that works.
I think we've already read it, so it will have been in the future. It will be in the past.
Yes. Now, that one you can always say, I think. Anything that happens at some point will have been in the past.
It might not have aired at the time of recording, but it will definitely have aired at the time of this airing.
Yeah, and for those who may not remember what Empok Nor is about, Kay, can you summarize it?
Empok Nor is a budgetary decision by the writers to make use of the same sets and they just call them another location. Lots of Dutch angles, different lighting, throw some junk around, and the regular DS9 sets are now Empok Nor sets.
And then it's a slasher horror with...
a little bit. It depends on the episode. I mean, there's
Empok Nor, like that one specifically was Garak going full slasher.
Of course, yes. But they also have the episode where they go rescue Quark's mom.
Yes.
And that at some points is more of a slapstick than...
The magnificent Ferengi.
Especially when the Ferengi are just running. Like, there's several scenes where they're just running from point A to B. Yes.
And it's so great. Well, I'm assuming that this is Empok Nor, the episode.
I would think so, yes.
Because it involves Julian and Garak. Which one's the special effects button to start the story?
That would be this one. Julian blew out a long breath as he waited for the Defiant to get to the abandoned space station Empok Nor. They'd received O'Brien's distress signal and were rushing to them.
He looked to the computer for the time and said grimly, "Not too long now." What had gone wrong? It was supposed to be a simple salvage mission. Yes, they had expected traps, but that's why Garak had gone with them. "Just can't stay out of trouble," he muttered.
"What was that, Doctor?" Cisco asked.
Julian shook his head. "Nothing, sir. I'm gonna make him a bit more EastEnders."
"Okay, sure." "We can open the comm channel to them in a couple of minutes," Jadzia informed.
"Yes, we should know what we're getting into if we can," Cisco nodded.
Jadzia nodded a couple of moments later. "Open the channel?" Sorry, that was...
Oh, yeah, that's me. Sorry.
No.
Open the channel. At Jadzia's second nod, Cisco asked, "Defiant to Empok Nor. Can you read?"
There was a bit of static, but Miles' voice came through clearly enough. "Captain, we are ready. Glad to hear your voice."
"That's your Miles?"
Yeah.
Old-timey prospector Miles O'Brien. Okay, fine. No criticism. "We'll be there soon. What happened?"
A lot, sir. The runabout was destroyed. There was a trap we definitely weren't expecting, and Pachetti, Bokota, Solsov, and Amaro, they didn't make it."
You make him sound so suspicious. Everyone on the bridge breathed deeply at the report.
And the rest of you? Cisco prompted.
"Oh, nice one, Mufasa." "Nog and I are mostly fine. Garak..."
"What about Garak?" Julian asked first. The pause couldn't mean anything good. Oh, sorry, we were doing East End. "What about Garak?"
There you
Julian
go.
asked first. The pause couldn't mean anything good.
He's not himself.
Not himself?
I can tell you all about our injuries after I've reported the rest, Miles suggested, indicating it was something he'd rather say in private to Julian. I don't do a Southern Irish accent very well. I'm going to stick to my familiar Northern Irish.
Cisco looked to Julian and nodded. We'll reroute you to the infirmary. What else happened, Chief?
Julian went to the lift, wanting to take the call as soon as Miles finished talking with Cisco.
He thankfully only had to wait a couple of minutes after he got to the infirmary and sat at the desk before the comm button flashed and sounded. His anxiety has ridden enough already.
Chief!
Yeah, Julian. Like I said, he's not himself.
What exactly did that mean?
One of the traps was 2 Cardassian soldiers in stasis, who we accidentally woke up, and from what we could gather, they'd been given some sort of drug to make them more motivated in defending the station from intruders. It must be some strong stuff.
And Garak somehow got affected by it?
Yeah, at first he went after the other Cardassians, but then when he'd taken care of them...
Julian closed his eyes, hoping this wasn't going to go the direction it sounded like it was.
He killed Amaro, and then he came after me and Nog, playing a sort of sick game with us. We're fine, but... Miles cleared his throat. Anyway, we've got him restrained, Julian. I had to hurt him.
I'm really regretting the sort of levity that we did with these voice choices, because this is a very serious scene. Yeah. Julian had already put his head in his hands. I understand, Miles. How badly?
No doctor, but there might be some internal damage. He also keeps drifting in and out, and when he's in, the drug is still affecting him.
Oh, shit.
Makes him very violent and strong, so you'll have to do something for the infirmary, unless you can sedate him the entire time.
Julian swallowed heavily. Thanks for the tip. Is there anything else? How are you and Nog?
A bit beaten up, but nothing that feels serious.
Let me be the judge of that, Julian tried to say lightly. He took a shuddering inhale. Chief, I'm sorry.
Don't. I certainly wouldn't place any blame on you.
Julian ran his hands down his face. I'll see you all soon.
About 30 minutes, Cisco said.
30 minutes, then.
Julian shut down the comm and heavily slumped back in his chair. Garak, Alim, he whispered.
Yeah, it's a paragraph break, so we go on to the next scene. The Defiant docked, Miles not knowing if it was safe to risk using transporters. Julian rushed out first, medkits slung over his shoulder, followed by Jadzia and some engineers and security to help Miles and Nog finish the salvage operation.
Chief, Julian called out as soon as he emerged onto the promenade. There weren't full lights, only some of them seemed to be working, throwing the place into a very uneasy atmosphere. Miles had said they were near the security officer. Chief!
Over here, Miles called back.
Julian nearly ran into Nog as they met somewhere in the middle.
Miles gave him a harrowed smile in greeting. We're glad to see you all. He looked down to Nog. Coordinate the engineers, would you?
Yes, Chief. Nog nodded and went to the engineers who had caught up.
It is safe, yes? Jadzia asked.
Miles nodded. Safe as we can tell.
Julian took out his tricorder to scan his friend's bruised face. Miles pushed his hand down and protested. I'll be all right, Julian. I'm bruised like hell, but I'll be fine.
Julian closed the tricorder. You sure?
Miles nodded, then gestured down the promenade with his head.
As he hurried with Miles rushing after him, Julian did notice the 4 covered bodies on the floor, but he didn't stop. He knew there was nothing he could do for them. Jadzia and the security officer stopped, but he didn't.
Then he froze when he saw him. Garak sitting on the floor, back against a beam, legs straight out in front of him and a pair of cuffs around the ankles. The Cardassian's hands rested in his lap, a shine of metal indicating the cuffs around his wrists. A rope wound several times around his chest, keeping him against the beam. His head was raised, and he seemed to be staring straight ahead.
That's one of those tropes of tying people up, you know? It's like, if you're going to tie someone up with ropes around, do it under the arms, not over the arms, otherwise you can just wriggle out.
Yeah, people are really wriggly.
It's a TV trope. It's a weird TV trope of tying people up ineffectually.
I mean, it has to be. You have to be able to see it at a distance and sort of glance.
Mm. Miles sighed. Oh, he's awake again.
Julian's feet moved again, rushing down the way. Miles hurried after him. Julian, wait! Be careful!
Julian practically skid to a stop in front of Garak and crouched down in front of him. Garak's gaze snapped up to meet his, and Julian couldn't help but flinch back an inch.
He looked downright feral. His hair had come loose from its usual contained style, hanging around the sides of his face. Blood, both old and fresh, stained his lips and dripped down his chin. couple of bruises marred his grey skin with purple, and his eyes, no longer the comforting blue Julian knew.
Ah, Doctor, how nice of you to come. Garak smiled, showing his teeth. A little more blood came through them to trickle out of his mouth. His voice wasn't quite right, tinged with a madness.
Garak, Julian near whispered, having to blink rapidly to get over his shock. He opened his tricorder, fully kneeled, and moved forward.
A cry of surprise came from the doctor as 2 hands shot up and seized his right forearm. The tricorder dropped from that hand.
"Sir!" shouted one of the security officers.
"Don't!" Julian ordered, knowing the officer had raised his phaser. He put up his free hand to emphasize the order.
"Julian!"
"I said no, Chief!" Julian shifted slightly to the side to make shooting Garak a little harder. No doubt the weapon was set to stun, but until he knew what was wrong with Garak, he didn't want to risk hurting him.
"Yes, do keep them out of this," Garak responded. "Being outnumbered is hardly fair."
Julian's teeth clenched as Garak's cuffed hands tightened round his arm. It was starting to hurt. "Garak, let go of me."
Garak's eyes flickered down to Julian's arm, then back up to meet the man's eyes. The pitch of his voice lowered as he said, "You have no idea how hard it is not to break your arm right now." In emphasis, his hands twisted the arm a little.
Julian heavily swallowed at the threat, and his uncertainty about whether Garak actually would or wouldn't do it in whatever state his mind he was in. He kept his other hand up to prevent Miles and the other officer from taking any action. He could handle this. If not, a broken arm was fixable.
"Garak, please let me help." A high whimper cut off his words as Garak again twisted his arm. "It's me. It's Julian."
"I know," and that simple statement sent a shiver down Julian's spine.
"How easy would it be?" Garak airily asked, his gaze dropping to his hands around the human's forearm.
Julian thought for several seconds and couldn't help the nervous breath, knowing he was taking a huge risk before he suggested, "Why don't you?" He heard the security officer start to protest, but Miles cut him off. Garak couldn't do much more than break his arm in the position he was in, surely.
"This is good." Garak's tongue darted out over his bottom lip, causing another trickle of fresh blood to drip down his chin. I want you to be fit for our game. It's not as much fun if you start out wounded." He inhaled deeply and grimaced.
Julian could hear the strain of the breath. That, and the blood from the mouth, indicated internal injuries. He blindly reached down to find the dropped tricorder.
"Although the chief has already wounded me, so maybe breaking your arm would make us even." Garak's knees quickly came up, trapping Julian's arm more effectively and causing another source of painful pressure.
What kind of game, Garak?"
The Cardassian's hand tightened more and gave a short wrench to the limb, more testing than intent to break.
Julian's free hand had found the tricorder, but he released it, knowing he wasn't going to be able to scan the other man in this predicament. He'd have to calm him down enough first. Miles had said he'd killed Amaro, so Garak hurting him was definitely a possibility.
Garak laughed, aggravating the strain in his chest. "Like our little spy games, Doctor, but with more consequences. The chief was good, though he did have to resort to cheating to defeat me. But I'd love to play against you. Really test that wonderful intellect of yours."
Julian quickly inhaled through his nose. "I'd love to do that with you, and if I were to fix you up, we'd be even better matched."
Garak released one hand from Julian's arm to flex the fingers before clenching it tightly around the limb again. "Or I can make us better matched right now."
"You could," Julian acknowledged. He fought to keep his voice even. "But my way, we're both healthy. Wouldn't that make it more satisfying?" He risked moving his free hand close to Garak's face. When the other man didn't try to stop him, he fully pressed it to the side of his head.
Oh.
The coolness of the grey skin nearly made him flinch back. The station, without most of the power on, wasn't as warm as DS9. "How's that sound?"
Garak tilted his head as he considered it, his gaze still staring at the arm in his grasp.
Julian spread his fingers, letting the strands of black hair fall over them. His thumb against Garak's temple felt the fast pulse under the skin. "What do you think? We can both have more fun that way."
It took Garak a long moment to answer, his hand still threatening to break the arm in the iron grasp. I think your idea is a valid one." He closed his eyes for a couple of seconds. "It's very hard, but I think I can manage." His hands loosened, but only by the tiniest amount.
Julian accepted that, didn't try to convince Garak to release him. He could scan him and figure out what to do with one hand. A moment later, sorry.
yes, a moment later after the one-handed procedure, yes.
A moment later, he removed his hand from the side of the Cardassian's head and picked up the tricorder.
Julian didn't pay any attention to the two men standing nearby, ready to act in case Garak did do anything. They had the good sense to stay quiet and not accidentally set the Cardassian off. Garak also seemed to ignore them, his eyes trained only on Julian's face. Julian tried not to let the cold, icy stare unnerve him.
A few broken ribs, a couple of which were causing internal damage, but not immediately life-threatening so. He'd survived more than long enough to get him onto the Defiant. There were some other signs of physical trauma, also not immediately too dangerous. The tricorder also picked up a sign of foreign substance, the highest concentration on one of the hands gripping his arm. It had been skin contact, which probably had somehow passed through to get to his bloodstream. He'd have to examine the point of contact better once in the infirmary on the ship, but it didn't look like it had taken too much to affect Garak so badly.
Julian thought what he would do for him now, and how long it would take for him to pass out again. He didn't know if a sedative would work properly with the psychotropic drug in Garak's system, or if it would even somehow make it worse. Whatever he decided, he knew there was no way they were going to get Garak onto the Defiant if he was awake. He'd no doubt take it as being captured and try to fight back. His hands and ankles were restrained, but how far would he take that fight? Considering how much Miles had hurt him just to stop him, Julian knew Garak would take it as far as he could. He was a wounded animal in this state, and would no doubt lash out like one. Julian's trapped arm was enough proof of that.
Julian awkwardly reached around to open his medkit and pull out a hypospray and a container of sedatives. He did have to use his trapped hand to set the lowest dose sedative into the hypospray. It was as much as he dared risk at the moment, and he hoped it would at least take the immediate edge from Garak. His arm was really starting to hurt now.
"This is going to help with the pain," Julian said. He couldn't help the little cry as Garak's hand wrenched his arm as he pressed the hypospray to the side of Garak's neck. "To help with the pain," he repeated.
Garak hummed, then slowly said, "You'd better not be cheating."
"I do have to treat you, and—" A cough from Garak that sent a small spray of blood past his teeth interrupted him. "And you know, I'm very good at that."
Julian released a long breath as Garak's hands slightly loosened again. It hurt to see him like this and to not be able to comfort him, not to be able to risk holding him for fear of being attacked. He doubted it would be too difficult to get the drug from his system, and his injuries would be no problem, but until he was fully himself again?
"Doctor!" Garak's grip loosened until his hands dropped to the floor between his legs, and his head lolled forward. A few seconds later, his entire body went slack.
Julian hissed at the returning sensation to his fingers. He looked up to Miles and the now 2 security officers. "Help me get him to the Defiant. I don't know how long until he might wake up again." Julian sat at his desk, staring at his right forearm. He gingerly rolled down the black and blue sleeves and was now entranced by the pattern of bruising all along his tanned skin. Black and blue skin. His entire arm ached and the muscles were stiff, but he needed to make certain Garak would be fine. But now he didn't want to deal with it just yet. Besides, there was someone else to take care of first.
He glanced over to Garak, asleep in one of the beds, restraints around his arms and chest. Thankfully, the man hadn't woken up while he treated his injuries, and he stayed asleep now as the computer analyzed the drug in his system. Jadzia had found an unopened vial of it on Empok Nor to help with that. Oh, convenient. They'd left that cursed station nearly 45 minutes ago.
Julian gave a grim nod of acknowledgement to the security officer sitting in the corner of the infirmary, ready to act if Garak woke up and got free of the restraints. There was another officer outside the door as well.
He flinched as the door slid open, even though he'd been expecting it to. He looked to Miles as he walked in and quickly pulled his sleeve down. No need to give Miles another visual reminder of what had happened on Empok Nor. Miles did glance to the sleeping Cardassian across the room, then kept his attention on Julian.
"Nog didn't want to come to be checked over here," Miles explained.
Julian simply nodded in understanding. "He's all right, then?"
Garak grabbed him and scared him, but didn't really hurt him.
"I'll check on him later, then." Julian gestured with his head to another empty bed. "Let me make sure you're fine."
Miles was quiet as Julian worked. Only once the doctor announced he'd be all right did he ask, "Has he woken up?"
Julian shook his head.
I'll bet that Miles has got trouble with his shoulder again.
Wait, when did you have time to go kayaking again?
Yeah.
We don't even have a holodeck on the Defiant.
Well, I hope he doesn't. Not yet, for your sake. His eyes looked down to Julian's right arm, part of the bruising visible from under the hastily pulled sleeve.
That would make it easier, Julian quietly agreed.
I should take care of that.
I will. I had to take care of you two first, Julian sighed. So what exactly happened?
He went after the two Cardassians, then Amaro. He took Nock as a hostage. We fought, he beat me up, I improvised an explosive device. Miles paused. Highly powerful, I meant for it to be.
Julian grimaced, even though he'd been expecting an explanation like this. He turned away from his friend. Well, if he'd been any closer, or if it had been any more powerful, He stopped to reconsider his coming words. He very probably would have died. This entire situation, his partner and his friend forced to fight each other to that extent. Ooh,
Yeah.
It's sort of like a mock time.
It does
like
a bit.
Spock and Kirk fighting over Spring, whatever.
Maybe he's tougher than he looks, Miles replied in an attempt to comfort Julian.
Julian hummed. He is a survivor. He cleared his throat. You can go now. He heard Miles get down and sensed him about to talk. Please, Chief, he added before the other man could speak.
Miles inhaled deeply and nodded as he passed Julian to head out the door. Julian stared at the door as it closed behind him for a long moment.
With a heavy exhale, he looked at the security officer. Leave me?
Sir, I'm under orders, the Vulcan woman stated.
You can stand outside the door with Watley if you want, I need a few minutes. I'll shout if I need you. He flashed a humorless smile. I'll make it an order if I must.
She relented and stood. Yes, sir.
As soon as he was alone, Julian strode to the left side of Garak's bed. With the fingers of his right hand, he brushed through the Cardassian's hair. I'm here, Elim, he said softly.
Julian bent over until his nose touched the man's temple. His right hand settled against the side of Garak's face. I'm here. The position was risky, he knew, since if Garak woke up, he could bite him. But he didn't care.
He closed his eyes and just breathed. His right thumb gently stroked over the ridge under Garak's eye. Whatever that venom is, I'll take care of it. I'll take care of you.
Julian didn't move as he stood there, hopefully giving comfort to the unconscious man. He didn't even raise his head when he heard the door open.
Julian?
At Jatsia's voice, Julian did raise his head and looked at her. Yeah?
I was concerned when I saw both of them outside.
Sorry, I just needed...
Jadzia nodded in understanding. How is he?
Alive, and I expect I'll get him back to himself soon enough. With a heavy sigh, he left Garak's bedside. He sat at his desk and looked up to his friend. And I'm fine.
Jadzia moved to stand next to him, then put her hand on the desk beside Julian's right arm. From what I can see, that doesn't look fine.
A tiny groan escaped from Julian's mouth. I should take care of that now. He carefully rolled the sleeves up to his elbow.
Jadzia winced. Looks like it hurts.
Not really at the moment.
When he didn't make a move to grab the tricorder, Jadzia picked it up and opened it to scan over the heavily red bruised forearm. There are 2 hairline fractures in addition to the bruising and what I'm sure are sore muscles.
Julian looked up. Really? He hummed, then shook his head. He could have snapped it. I could feel him struggling not to.
Jadzia found the device to help heal the bone. While Julian treated himself, he thought about how he had been taken over once within the first year on DS9 and not able to control himself. Oh, what was that again? Was that, was it some sort of alien infestation, or was it maybe one of Jadzia's old...
Don't remember. No, can't tell.
But he hadn't been aware of it. He'd been asleep while that entity had controlled his body. He'd woken up completely confused on an unfamiliar ship for a short moment, then later in the infirmary with a massive headache. He didn't remember a thing his body had done in that missing time.
He hoped Garak wouldn't remember, but with the way he'd been completely aware of who he was talking to...
Analysis complete, announced the computer.
They both read over the results. Jadzia concluded. It'll take a while to get fully out of his system once we're back on the station.
But maybe we can synthesize something quickly here to lessen the effects, Julian suggested. Make him easier to deal with when he wakes up.
I'll work on that. Shouldn't take long to put something together. You heal yourself.
Almost an hour later, Julian and Jadzia stopped their quiet conversation at the sudden harsh "Doctor!" from across the infirmary. They'd given him the synthesized Alleviate, ooh, nice word, a few minutes before, and Julian could instantly see it was working when Garak's head turned to look at them. His expression wasn't as feral, his eyes not as cold yet wild.
Julian hurried to his side, grimacing when Garak's hand made a blind short grab for his wrist, but thankfully only caught the sleeve instead. Those strong fingers fisted tightly and twisted in fabric. "I'm here. It's me."
Jadzia stood nearby and stayed quiet.
"Doctor." Garak's eyes seemed to have little trouble focusing on Julian's face. Julian, I've done something wrong. Terribly wrong." There was a desperate sort of fear in those blue eyes.
He did remember then. "I'm sorry. I know." Garak, please try to relax." Julian put his other hand on the Cardassian's shoulder.
Garak's hand tightened in Julian's sleeve, twisting the human's wrist a little. "I wanted to hurt you." He blinked and tilted his head. "Still do." He took a quick, stuttered breath when he tried lifting his hand from the bed and couldn't.
"You can't hurt me," Julian assured.
"Don't." Garak's teeth clenched. "Don't be so sure of that."
"You won't," Jadzia spoke up.
"Confidence? Maybe I should believe you then."
"Please do, and rest. We're on our way back to DS9. Julian moved his hand from Garak's shoulder to close over the hand gripping his sleeve. "It'll be all right."
"It will? How can it?"
"The first step is resting, staying calm until you fall asleep again." Julian half smiled. "You can keep holding my hand until you do, if that'll help."
"I'll try, but I can't promise."
"That's all I ask. Just take some deep breaths, okay? And we'll make it through this." It feels so inappropriate to do this wacky stuff in a really, really good, intense story.
"It's looking better," Julian informed Garak, now in a blobbed in a station, in a biobed. No. That's
what we're calling them from now
a blob.
on.
A blobbet. Wait, it says it is actually an eye. Apparently my glasses need some adjusting. Now in a biobed in the station infirmary.
No? Fine.
A blobbet. Shouldn't be much longer until it's all gone from your system.
Garak nodded, unable to look the other man in the eye.
There will be a formal inquest. Sisko had stopped by to tell Julian that. Oh, wait, that's probably Julian
that's
again.
Julian repeating
Sisko,
Sisko's
yeah,
words,
okay, never mind.
"Yes, I figured people will have many questions over what happened."
"I don't think anyone will blame you or punish you. You weren't in control." Julian placed a comforting hand on Garak's upper arm.
It must be nice to have that kind of precedent in
I know, right?
the sort of
No,
jurisprudence
it's like
there.
you're just like you were under the influence of something or the other, and
Khajiit is innocent of this crime. Khajiit was under the influence of Q. It was Trelane.
yeah, it was moon sugar. Is that what it's called?
I think it was
something like that. Yeah.
That. Khajiit has wares if you have coin. Garak took a deep breath. It felt like a venom slowly overtaking me. It didn't start instantly after I touched that stuff, and I intended to kill the 2 Cardassian soldiers to protect us, but after that... His gaze focused on Julian's. "Do you know one of the things I did? Before I killed the first Cardassian, I got into one of their small stasis cubes, and I closed it over myself. All willingly." He shuddered at the very idea that he'd done it. Yes, he's hugely claustrophobic.
Oh, yes. That's only further proof it wasn't really you.
"I know." Garak looked down to Julian's right arm. "But I remember it all." He closed his eyes for several seconds. "How is it that you can bear to touch me right now? After how I nearly hurt you? How I would have if I hadn't been tied up?"
Julian moved his right hand up to caress the side of Garak's face.
"Joke's on you, bitch. I'm into that."
"Because I knew you wouldn't do that to me, and you didn't."
A tight smile formed on Garak's face.
"Hey, don't try to scare me off. It didn't work before. Got it?"
Oh. Garak silently considered the words for a long moment. Then he lifted a trembling hand to place over Julian's on his face. The last thing he heard before he fell back into soft sleep was, "I love you, Elim." Oh! Apparently this is part 29 of Stitched Together.
Okay.
Which I'm now imagining, I'm not clicking on it, but I imagine that's a sort of longer-running fiction series about their relationship. Because
I think so, yes.
Because of the book A Stitch in Time.
Oh, of course, yes.
About Garak's history and by Andrew J. Robinson, which is very, very good.
Well, thank you, Lady Sci-Fi, for writing this lovely story for us to read. Well, she didn't write it for us to read, but she wrote it and we decided to read it.
Yeah. It's basically a timey-wimey version. It's almost as if like she heard our episode from the future and went, oh, their deleted scenes aren't very good. I'm going to write a new one.
There we go.
And then she did a much better job. So thank you very much, Lady Sci-Fi. We have did we finish that? Did we have a coming out of warp thing? Oh no, we don't have those sound effects. No. Then. Sorry, I was so focused on whether we fade in on the episode. I was so confident in that I sort of forgot like what else we do.
So next week there will be a regular episode, the week after that there will be another story, which is called What Brothers and What Brothers?
No. This is the summary.
Oh,
we don't know the title yet.
Right. Sorry, you're right. Yes.
Okay. Here it goes. Yep.
What brothers and sisters?
The lizard ones. Morale reminds him. Patient and only slightly patronizing in the way most 6-year-olds are just beginning to learn. Oh my God! It's Daddy's other children.
Miral is the daughter of
Tom and Balana. But
Yeah.
Daddy had other children before Miral with Auntie Catherine Janeway when they were lizard ones.
Yes.
And that's
crikey,
the other brothers and sisters of the lizard ones. Oh my God. So we'll find that out in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us on the Joy of Trek once more.
We only have one more thing to do.
The hell is this?
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by our chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next week for Blink of an Eye, Voyager 612, followed by Not Really an Only Child, the fanfiction read. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Blue Sky. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to Joy of Trek. See you out there.